Investment drive. Tinubu in Berlin again sells Nigeria's potential to the world.
Make sure that, yes, they do what is right, and also to put our money on the table.
We need to think about these young people. We need to think about our future as a country.
Federal government constitutes multi-sectoral committee on human capital development.
Petroleum subsidy removal, fiscal and monetary policy reforms aimed at removing multiple taxation.
Plus, FAC initiates fiscal and monetary reforms to stabilize the economy. Hello and thank you for joining us on the Network News on NTA. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. Remember that this broadcast is also being streamed live on our website, and Adiola is in Lagos, and she will be joining us in the course of the bulletin. President Bola Tinubu continues to market Nigeria's potentials, proudly telling international investors that beyond Nigeria's natural resources, the people of Nigeria, who are highly educated, highly skilled, and naturally industrious, are the primary asset and advantage the country wields over other nations in the global race for new investments. The president spoke at a panel discussion titled "Fostering Local Value Chains and Investments in Africa: The Role of the German Private Sector" at the G20 Compact with Africa Economic Conference hosted by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. In a statement, Presidential Advisor on Media and Publicity Ajuri Ngelale, the president said although promoting the rule of law was crucial for attracting foreign investments, Nigeria's energetic youth population and well-educated populace represent the greatest incentive provided to investors towards mutually beneficial replication of China's economic resurgence. The president declared that Nigeria is dogged in its pursuit of natural gas development today in tandem with hydrogen production for tomorrow, adding that the country is going a step further by creating fiscal responsibility and tax reforms as it reforms its financial institutions to expeditiously accommodate foreign investments. The president assured potential investors that Nigeria has moved beyond restrictive policies, and today capital can be moved in and out of the country freely, providing flexibility for investors. While persuading German automobile firms to establish manufacturing plants in Nigeria, he invites German businesses to take advantage of investment opportunities in multiple sectors following the successful visit of German Chancellor to Nigeria in October. Other panelists at the discussion were the German Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz, President Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire, Prime Minister Aziz Akhanouk of Morocco, President Macky Sall of Senegal, Sabine Delamour, Chairman of Africa-Varying German African Business Association and CEO of Sub-Saharan Africa Siemens AG. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu is to host notable German business chief executives at a Nigeria-Germany business roundtable in Berlin on Tuesday. The federal government has approved the constitution of a multi-sectoral committee on human capital development made up of the federal and state governments as well as donor agencies, expected to convene every 2 weeks to review progress. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that this is the outcome of Vice President Kashim Shettima's meeting with World Bank's country director for Nigeria, Shobham Chaudhry, and other key players.
The meeting chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima stressed the need for government and partners to invest in human capital development to create a workforce that is not just globally competitive but also adaptable to the modern demands of the 21st century. Acknowledging the significant impact the two Nigerian wealthy businessmen Dangote and Elumelu have impacted on the population, the Vice President noted that the rises and fall of any nation depends on the quality of its leadership. Minister of Health and Social Welfare Professor Ali Pate extols the current efforts the federal government is making, putting the people at the center of the renewed hope agenda, even as he underscored the importance of investing in human resources. The chairman of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, and the founder of Tony Elumelu Foundation, Mr. Tony Elumelu, commended the foresight of government in convening the meeting, noting that it underpins the commitment of the Tinubu administration to addressing challenges around human capital development. While pledging support for the administration's program, they call on stakeholders to work diligently towards tackling the challenges of inaccurate data, describing it as the biggest problem in the task of addressing human capital development.
They are the major employers, as well as others that are employing our youth. How does government create an enabling environment in partnership with these actors so that Nigeria continues to grow and uses the human potential that it has, and that it will use those human potentials to get to the greatness that is in its future?
Our own, as philanthropists, is for us to partner with the government and make sure that, yes, they do what is right, and also to put our money on the table, and we are ready to do so.
We need to think about these young people. We need to think about our future as a country. We need to prioritize our young ones. We need to develop them, to give them economic hope and opportunities so that we can collectively develop and then say no to extremism and yes to prosperity.
The World Bank Country Director in Nigeria pledged the bank's support for the program, especially in the areas of technical assistance and strengthening of databases. In March 2018, the National Economic Council had, at its special session, launched a dedicated human capital development program in response to Nigeria's dismal performance in all global indexes of human capital development. The program focuses on 3 thematic areas: health and nutrition, labor force participation, and education. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
The House of Representatives Committee on Finance says it will carry out status inquiry on the National Lottery Commission following what it calls unsatisfactory explanation on its revenue generation and expenditure. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed reports on proceedings at the medium-term expenditure framework hearing.
Chairman House Committee on Finance says the committee was not satisfied with the documents and explanations provided by the National Lottery Commission in respect to sources of its revenue generation, budget performances between 2021 and 2023, as well as remittances. The chairman notes that all agencies fully funded by the appropriation should remit 100% of their revenue as provided by the Constitution.
We are guided by the Act establishing the agency. If you look at Section 40 of the Act, establishing the agency, we are required to take a custody of a certain percentage.
Which Act? What's the section?
Act
Give me a copy. It's clear in the Constitution. So when you are fully funded, you are expected to remit your IGR 100%. 100%.
Other agencies that appear before the committee include Federal Road Safety Corps and Lagos International Trade Fair. However, there was discrepancy in revenue generation and remittance by Lagos International Trade Fair. The committee therefore stepped down its hearing to Thursday this week. From the National Assembly, I am Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government will remain committed to fiscal and monetary reforms initiated by this administration aimed at providing an enabling environment in critical infrastructure to ensure microeconomic stability. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Olawale Edun, says the reforms have gained commendation by the international development partners. Tessie Koka reports.
Creating resilient economy through diversification of the nation's revenue is key to the FARC retreat in Asaba. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, says in less than 6 months of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, the nation has witnessed significant reforms.
We have witnessed the introduction of important reforms such as petroleum subsidy removal, fiscal and monetary policy reforms aimed at removing multiple taxation, streamlining and simplifying tax administration.
Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborogore was represented by his deputy Monday Oyeme. He commended members of FAC for their commitment and dedication to duty.
From the current statistics, it is exigent that our medium and long-term goal should be to grow the non-oil sector to widen our revenue base.
Other messages hinge on sustaining collaboration with states through intervention programs, including those being implemented with support from international development partners, took center stage. Tessie Koka, NTA News.
As part of activities commemorating World Children's Day, the House Committee on Disability has engaged children with special needs to help in their mental growth and development. National Assembly correspondent Amina Saidu reports.
The theme for this year, For Every Child, Every Right, is a reminder that childhood is not a simple stage, but a foundation period that shapes people. Of concern to many is how children with disabilities are subjected to stigmatization, superstition, and exploitation, which has hindered their progress and development.
Children with disabilities can't actually speak for themselves. It requires people like us and their parents to actually speak for them.
While growing up as a child, a person with disability for over 30-something years now, I know what I have faced. I know what I have passed through. I know what my mother have passed through.
Chairman Committee on Disabilities says the National Assembly will work hard towards improving the lives of people with disabilities.
Education has to be inclusive so that you have a situation where our children who may be visually impaired need specific sets of how to communicate in school.
In a related development, Chairman Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives, Bamidele Salam, has made a case for the inclusion of child mentoring in leadership capabilities as one of the models for attaining an inclusive society.
When you talk about education, you have to talk about children. You have to talk about young ones. I would think it is very appropriate to catch them young.
Amina Saidu, NTA News.
And today being Universal Children's Day, also known as World Children's Day. To mark the day, the Minister of Women Affairs visited some school children in Abuja with some educational materials to encourage their learning process. Momso Damian Dati reports.
This is Government Technical College, Goki, where Judith Ashi is a student. She joins hundreds of her colleagues in the school to commemorate Universal Day of the Child.
It's a day that's set aside universally to celebrate our rights and our well-being. As a child, we have rights, and our rights were meant to stand up for them, were meant to keep them because they are the privileges that will lead us to whatever we want in the future. Invest in children.
Every child right is to be protected, irrespective of the age, height, or name.
The school went merry with excitement as the Women Affairs Minister, UNICEF, and other international partners joined them with educational materials, solar lamps, and other gifts to share.
All those rights and negative norms that these people do against children and young girls and boys. So there is a quicker way now to address the issue legally, but that if it happens under 48 hours, you get justice. So you see, we have hope. I'm begging. Let us know what you are suffering, and you will see what we can do. And if we fail you, petition us.
The day is celebrated on the 20th of November every year. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
Now to maritime security. After 4 years of intense work, the ECOWAS Manual of Standard Operating Procedures for Sub-Regional Maritime Centers is now ready for adoption. The document seeks to put all maritime security protocol under one administrative process. Kelvin Unai reports.
West African Integrated Maritime Strategy was initiated in 2015. With the support from the European Union, the SWAMPS project was developed, and since 2019, a series of engagements have taken place in Abuja and Abidjan, leading to the development of a standard operating procedures manual. The manual being validated at this meeting harmonizes all maritime regulations in the sub-region and coordinated by the ECOWAS Political Affairs, Peace and Security Department.
We also included, or we asked the consultants to divide the manual into two sections. One is for standard operation procedures for operational matters, and the other for administrative matters.
It's time to formalize in a very professional way the way we are operating in terms of administration and also in terms of operation as far as we are talking about activities of our center in order to make our region, our maritime domain, more safe.
With the adoption of the document, maritime security administration in the sub-region is expected to be seamless and more effective. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Nigerian government is urging member states of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa to protect financial systems by leveraging technology. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, gave the charge at the opening of the group's West Africa Compliance Summit in Abuja. Judiciary correspondent Chukwunonson Nwabuizi reports.
Emerging technologies no doubt hold a great promise for improved anti-money laundering and combating terrorism financing drive globally. And it is in a bid to maximize the potentials of technologies that these compliance officers within GIABA member states and Comoros are in Nigeria to ponder on the challenges as well as opportunities inherent in the advancement and implementation of money laundering preventive measures in the region.
As authorities of our countries, we should use these as the foundation to deepen our own domestic assessments, and I am pleased to report that in Nigeria, there is at the heart of our national AML, CFT, CPF strategy.
The primary aim is to promote effective implementation of anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism, and proliferation financing preventive measure using responsible technologies.
Be engaged in the discussions here, share insights, and contribute to the collective wisdom that will shape the future of compliance in our region.
The summit, which ends on Friday, has intersection of technology and anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism and proliferation as its theme. Chukwunonson Nwabuizi, NTA News.
2023-2024 dry season farming activities commenced with a commitment by federal government ensuring farmers would have access to heavy-duty farming equipment. This was reiterated during the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Agriculture and a tractor manufacturing company in Abuja. Musa Aliu reports.
The present administration pledged to go into massive production of wheat with a view to cutting down the importation of the produce. The plan is also to cultivate 70,000 hectares of wheat during the 2023-2024 dry season farming with expected output of 875,000 tons.
I've been there in the areas, and in fact some have even started planting, but the official flag off, which is just symbolic celebration, will be this coming Saturday.
In the area of mechanization, the ministry signed MOU with foreign tractor manufacturing company. Under the agreement, the company will manufacture tractors and implement in Nigeria and make them available to farmers at subsidized price.
And we won't just sign and leave John there on this. We are going to have a technical group to continue to interface with them.
As part of the agreement is to identify the most effective financing solutions that can be made available for customers to purchase these tractors.
Initially, it was a payback period of like 4 years. We felt it was too short for the farmers. Let it be a bit longer, 5 to 6 years.
It is estimated that 20,000 tractors will be produced annually, hoping to close agric mechanization gap in the country. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
This is the network news on NTA. The news continues shortly. Stay tuned. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu is re-echoing her call for Nigerians to trust in President Bola Tinubu's vision for economic recovery. This was while addressing the Nigerian community at a dinner in Sierra Leone. State House correspondent Adeli Taiwo reports.
The dinner was organized by the Nigeria in diaspora organization NIDO in Sierra Leone to show their love and interact with the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu before her departure after participating in the first-year commemoration of UN World Day for the prevention of and healing from sexual exploitation of girls. It was also an opportunity for the First Lady to thank them for being good ambassadors of Nigeria whose conduct and legitimate businesses have supported their country of residence. Back home, she says, their president is working hard to put Nigeria on the path of sound economic recovery with bold reforms. This calls for understanding and compassion among Nigerians.
Nigeria is like a fresh baby now, and we all have to build together. So, and that's what it is. But the story is we can also help our neighbors. Like now, I know you need this. Not that I have any money, but my heart is in it. Did you get what I'm saying? And that is how we help each other.
And when she was done, the ovation was very loud. Hailing the First Lady's outing at the first-year commemoration, Nigerian High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Henry Omaku, says her visit has further strengthened the bond between Nigeria and Sierra Leone.
You've given joy and hope to the younger generation of Sierra Leone. You've given hope to African women and African girls.
President of NIDO in Sierra Leone, Abiodun Oyebola, notes that Nigerians living in the country are abreast of development at home and pledged their support to the renewed hope agenda of the federal government.
We have decided in Sierra Leone not to look down in despair. We will look up to God Almighty and to our President, His Excellency, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for hope, for peace, and for progress.
Earlier, the First Lady had joined her host, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, Fatima Bio, to inspect project work at 34 Military Hospital, Freetown, still under construction. The First Lady has since departed for Nigeria. From Freetown in Sierra Leone, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
And from Freetown, we'll take you back to Berlin, where President Tinubu has had a meeting with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to advance negotiations on German investments in power and rail transportation sectors. Bola Tinubu, President Tinubu, on the sidelines of the G20 Compact with Africa Economic Conference in Berlin this Monday, also noted that Nigeria is determined in its pursuit of German investment in targeted sectors of the Nigerian economy, with focus on critical growth-enabling industries, which include energy, transportation, and electric power production, transmission, and distribution. Recognizing the success of Siemens AG in positively transforming the quantity and quality of Egyptian electric power supply, the president also noted that under his leadership, the staggered and unsteady implementation of the Siemens-supported Presidential Power Initiative will take on the project with urgency, with a more deliberate process of project execution. The president further expressed his keen interest in the role Siemens can play in modernizing and expanding Nigeria's rail network with the provision of ultra-modern trains and railways, which are more than double the speed of existing 100 km/h standard gauge systems presently operating in Nigeria. The German Chancellor expressed readiness, but with an acknowledgement of the need to resolve administrative and financial hurdles brought about by governance problems emanating from prior administrations in the sector. President Tinubu also met German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier. Indian automobile manufacturers Simba Group and TVS Motors have come up with the initiative of manufacturing tricycles, popularly known as Keke Napep, which use compressed natural gas against PMS, otherwise known as petrol. Ifeoma Okafor reports.
Transportation costs across the country went up at the wake of removal of fuel subsidy by the present administration. This, however, has been a source of concern by many, as government has continued to provide palliatives to ameliorate the hardship faced by commercial vehicle users. Now, an Indian automobile manufacturing company, Simba Groups and TVS Motors, have joined the community thinkers by providing tricycle that uses compressed natural gas, which is not only affordable but environmentally friendly.
Empowering individuals with the means to start their businesses, empowering riders to earn for their family, empowering women to be independent. We are directly and indirectly contributing to job creation and socio-economic empowerment.
I take immense pride in being part of this transformation journey. Our partnership with TVS is built on a shared vision of transforming communities through innovative, sustainable and rewarding solutions.
It is a matter of pride that over 10 million Nigerians travel every single day on TVS KK and motorcycles.
We have gas stations all over the state that can provide enough, more than enough gas for all operators.
The challenges we are having with fuel, this will alleviate the stress that we are passing through.
In Benin, Informa Ukafo, NTA News.
Still on transportation, between January and September 2023, the Federal Road Safety Corps achieved 22% reduction in road traffic crashes, 21.3% reduction in injuries, and 23.1% reduction in number of people killed. Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps Dauda Alibiu said this at the commemoration of World Day for the Remembrance of Road Traffic Crash Victims, while emphasizing that federal government's huge investment in road infrastructure and the Corps' huge visibility on highways played a major role. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
Road traffic crash deaths have continued to be a source of concern to many, though experts say the fight against it remains unrelenting. Globally, 1.35 million deaths are recorded annually, with developing countries recording 90% of the deaths, and Nigeria isn't in any way different.
Federal Road Safety Corps has geared up towards ensuring that the road traffic crashes, death and injuries are drastically reduced on Nigerian roads.
The issue of speeds continue to be a problem, particularly when it coincides with areas where people have to share roads with vehicles.
Commemorating the 2023 World Day of Remembrance of Road Traffic Crash Victims, experts charged everyone to contribute their own quota to ensure road safety and imbibe safety ethics on roads, noting that 20 million people have directly or indirectly been affected by road traffic crashes.
Accidents occur both in the day and night time as a result of potholes, drivers trying to skill or to maneuver.
Every life that is lost in road crash are actually breadwinner. They are men and women that can contribute to the community and the development of the country.
The theme for this year's commemoration is justice, and the slogan, Remember, Support, Act. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Remember, Support, Act. Meanwhile, the Federal Road Safety Corps Gombe Command has launched the Ember Month campaign against road traffic crashes, attracting support from corporate organizations to enhance safety of road users during the period. Balgam Samari reports.
Federal Road Safety Corps has been enlightening commercial motorcycle riders on the need to use the crash helmet as safety measures, but very few have heed to the advisory. To encourage the use of a crash helmet in Gombe State, the Federal Road Safety Corps has gotten a partnership of a pharmaceutical company to distribute free unit of crash helmet to 600 riders in the state.
Just want to promote healthy living in Gombe and also promote what they call it, a safety, which is our number one priority when it comes to our product.
The helmet, as everybody knows, is an important aspect that promotes safety for the Okada riders, and the intervention by VOSCA in the spirit of what we call the PPP, public-private partnership. For us, we did the mobilization for the Okada riders.
The beneficiaries are happy knowing what crash helmet means to them when the unthinkable happens.
We appreciate them for the donation. Promise to use the helmet for our safety.
The campaigns for safety continues with advocacy talk shows and processions to reduce, if not prevent it totally, road traffic crashes that characterize the environment annually. Balgum Samari, NTA News.
World Africa Industrialization Day is being commemorated, and President Bola Tinubu has been commended for his relentless investment drive for economic growth and decent mass employment. In a statement from Ilorin commemorating the day, the Director General, Michael Imodu National Institute for Labor Studies, Comrade Isa Aremu, observes that industry has always played a vital role in development, boosting economic activity along value chains and creating jobs from raw materials processing to finished goods and services. Comrade Aremu hails businesses and industries, saying the day is intended to mobilize the commitment of the local, international community to the diversification and industrialization of African economies. The theme for this year's celebration is accelerating Africa's industrialization through the empowerment of African women in processing for an integrated market. It's time to join Adiola in Lagos for more on the network news on NTA. Hello, Adiola.
Najatu. The digital revolution has brought about the need for media houses to reassess their structure and other key areas to reconfigure it in line with digital demands. This, digital media experts say, is a precautionary measure as well as reactionary venture, which is one of the steps to get digitally inclined equipment. Larry Belay chatted with some media experts and brought back this report.
There have been dramatic changes in technologies used in the media because of the revolutionary wave of digital age restructuring the modus operandi of information and content dissemination. Digital equipment is now a must-have in media houses since the availability of social media, digital gadgets, and over-the-top platforms using apps to stream programs.
Any sector that doesn't embrace technology now will become a late organization. As far as Nigeria is concerned on the area of technology, well, I will say we are ready, but there should be political will.
World Event is not only watched on traditional TV, but on various apps. With this in place, traditional media houses have no option but to purchase facilities that will aid this new era of broadcasting. Manufacturers and vendors of this equipment are busy introducing media houses to these cutting-edge facilities being churned out.
A recent example is due to the transport of audio and video signals over IP, for example, which is a new trend which makes life and wiring inside of radio and TV station much more IT-oriented. And let's say it's mandatory nowadays to have a system able to talk, to be interconnected to traditional SDI, for example.
So we believe more and more people are going to be interested in doing jobs like this, involving technology, communication, recording, etc.
In Nigeria, with a large population of young adults passionate about their touchscreen mobiles, media houses have no option but to go digital to remain relevant in the scheme of things. In Lagos, Larry Belay, NTA News.
For democratic principles to be further strengthened in Nigeria, there is need for a vibrant and free press to effectively monitor government in line with its role as watchdogs of a society. Protection of journalists in this regard, stakeholders say, is germane for them to carry out their duties without fear or favor. Joel Pokwola completes this report.
Nigeria's press, according to experts, has come a long way contributing immensely to the actualization of democracy in Nigeria. Say the landscape of press freedom has been a journey characterized by resilience, challenges, and triumphs. Experts agree that press freedom is germane to reshape public discourse and hold governments accountable. Several impediments to press freedom, such as legal restrictions, censorship, and other challenges, have made it somewhat difficult to fulfill their duties.
Not there yet, but we have made over the years. If you look at it over the years, we have made some progress. But like we always say, there's always room for improvement. So yes, we're not there yet, but we need to continue to make efforts.
If we're free, it means we're at liberty to report what we want to report, how we want to report them, without being afraid of our jobs being snatched, without being afraid of being harassed or threatened.
Even amidst these impediments, journalists in Nigeria have continued to demonstrate courage and tenacity, continuing to thrive for an open and transparent society where free flow of information is safeguarded.
As journalists, as the government, as CSOs, as different organizations that protect the rights of journalists, we still have a lot to do to make so that we can scale up the ladder a little bit and be counted as a media-free country.
For Nigeria to move up on the ranking of World Press Freedom Index, there is need for an improved enabling environment for the men of the pen profession. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And we are done from Lagos. The network news will continue after this time out. Please stay.
Thanks for being there. It's now time to talk business. The federal government has reiterated commitment to repositioning the Nigerian economy for sustainable growth by exploring innovative strategies to boost the nation's economic drive. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Anite, who was represented, made a case for increased cooperation among the African Organization and African nation and also member states in facilitating the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Affected trade in Africa, especially the technical barriers to trade with respect to varying indices.
The development of African standards and international activities in Africa, and also to create an avenue for knowledge sharing and to promote adoption and implementation of standards and harmonization among African countries to facilitate trade across the African continent.
Our commitment do not meet our needs. We need to have our own standards.
Into capital market, equities market began the week in negative territory as investors lose 57.31 billion naira. The all-share index shed 0.15% to close at 71,008.7 basis point. A total of 358.4 million securities worth 4.35 billion naira were traded in 6,551 deals as equity capitalization fell to 39.05 trillion naira. The financial services industry led the top trade chart with Access Holding PLC, ICO Insurance PLC, and Universal Insurance PLC. That's it. We now pause for more messages. Network news continues shortly. Do stay.
Sports update is next.
The 2023 Inter-Unit Sports Competition of Nigeria Army's Guards Brigade is underway in Abuja with football event between 7 Guards Battalion and 176 Guards Battalion heralding the 5-day sporting festival at the Aguero Sea Cantonment, Abuja.
They also provide a suitable platform for discovering talented and potential sportsmen and women for the Nigerian Army.
All is now set for the 2023 Nigerian Nationwide League One Cup scheduled to begin on 24th November in Kano and Uyo centers. Chairman of the league board, Silas Agara, says the coming on board of a telecommunications giant will help in staging an unprecedented edition of the cup.
The NLO have achieved this feat due to our credibility and our integrity, and knowing fully well that we are open to partnership. NLO is where to be.
Finally, 6 of the shirts worn by Lionel Messi during Argentina's World Cup winning campaign are to be sold at auction. The 36-year-old Argentina captain lifted the trophy after his side beat France on penalties in last December's final in Qatar. His shirt from the final is included in the set, which are expected to fetch more than £8 million by Sotheby's in New York. I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu sympathizes with the Ali family and Nigerian army over the passing of Major General Chris Ali, retired former Chief of Army Staff, who died on Sunday. Major General Ali was Chief of Army Staff from 1993 till 1994, when he retired from service. President Tinubu describes the passing of the former Chief of Army Staff as a painful loss, saying he served his country faithfully, and prays God Almighty to rest his soul and grant his family the fortitude to bear the huge loss. Major General Ali held other important positions in the Nigerian army, such as Director, Military Intelligence, before his elevation to Chief of Army Staff. He was a respected and gallant officer. Rest in peace, sir, and thank you for your service. That concludes the network news on NTA. But before we go, remember that there will be an interview with former President Buhari on Conversations with History coming up at 10:30.